So welcome everybody to the Real Estate Show. Hello, my name is Dr. Jimmy Chung, and I am the real estate doctor. We got Mr.
And I am John Sidoti. I
Yes,
am a local real estate professional or a national real estate professional in the United States.
and we are here today to deliver a really fun show on real estate. And the purpose of the show, it's going to be about 20 minutes long.
Yep.
Yeah, and the idea is to bring energy, clarity, and confidence to real estate investing. We want to make sure that you guys, investors, entrepreneurs, professionals who are looking to make better moves with your money, whether you're parking it in a place where there's less of a tax burden, or you're growing your assets without having to do a lot of work, collect rent, deal with vacancies and tenant issues. We're here to explain that. And in fact, the unique thing is, I don't know much about commercial industrial real estate. This guy is the expert. And I actually have a bunch of questions to ask him today, just to give you a feel of what the show is going to be like. We're also going to talk to you more about the different topics as well. I'm gonna go right into it, man. So,
Awesome.
what got you into real estate?
So I got into real estate in 2013. December 2013, I closed on a duplex in Quincy, Massachusetts, in my backyard. I was working full time for a general contractor out of Boston, all over the country, and I wanted to get into real estate investing. I knew it was a great place to park money, to grow money, to build wealth, and everyone can relate to it. Real estate is involved. Everyone rents, owns, is involved in real estate in some capacity.
For sure.
And so I bought this duplex. I made the right improvements every year, held on to it for 3 years and made a 1,700% return on investment. That's a 17x
Wow.
of what I initially invested. And that was where it all started. 2013, right time, right place, and held on to it.
And right asset.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was a multifamily. That was just everyday property that really anyone can get into. And the kind of the beautiful thing about what we're doing now and today is it's a much bigger asset class that a lot of people think, there's no way that they could ever own or have ownership in one of those types of assets. But the reality is, those properties are owned by everyday people every day.
Exactly.
And you look at what I always say is you look at any skyline and it's all buildings, right? It's owned by someone, some group, some entity owns every single building on that skyline. Why can't that be you and I? Right?
That's a great question.
And that's the mindset that you have to go into these real estate ventures.
Well, that's a very interesting segue to the next question that I have is you think about every property, every asset is owned by someone.
Mm-hmm.
And how does a busy professional get into this idea of owning real estate, investing into real estate without feeling overwhelmed and without feeling like, man, am I making a mistake?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The reality of it is an investor. An investor is you're investing. You're not operating. You're not you. And a lot of times on these big assets, is they're owned and operated by teams, right? And there's people that come in that do the day-to-day operations, property managers, and whatnot. And then there's the tenants, but then there's the money behind the deal, which that can be investors, and that can be people that have extra liquidity around, that is sitting in a bank earning 0.5% annually, or it could be someone investing through their IRA, 401k, self-directed, and there are a bunch of ways that you can structure deals that we'll kind of dive into later on in this journey.
Well, yeah, this is definitely a journey. There's a lot to unpack, and the idea is to really create a space where you can tune in. You're a professional. You're busy. You don't have to really, take a real estate course. I actually went into real estate 2007. I was taking a real estate finance MBA course at Northeastern. Fell in love with it. Really wanted to create a real estate career. Got my real estate license, did rentals in Boston. Then I followed my mentor, Randy Fahn, who owned the Century 21 in Malden, then started his own firm, kind of learning from him. And then now into the South Shore, still learning a ton to learn. There's so much information. This is why we're creating this podcast so that we can simplify and clarify how to, make a decision in terms of real estate investing so that our listeners can make a sound decision that you're confident about. And also to understand, we have like one episode we talked about terminology, right? Just to really understand the lingo, and how to speak real estate, how to understand it. When is it a sound investment like the multifamily that you did in 2013?
Yeah.
And you mentioned, John, that there's all sorts of different I guess decision trees that you have to go through before you make a decision to purchase or to invest. You've had a lot of success since 2013. I've seen your portfolio grow. What's one of the biggest asset or one of the biggest success stories that you could share with the audience?
I mean, my biggest success was kind of, I guess, the biggest financial success in terms of numbers, right? Which every investment comes down to the numbers. And the probably the biggest financial success was that 1,700% return, cash on cash return. But I would say probably one of the next biggest success is in the attitude. It's in the way you look at these opportunities. It's the way knowing that you don't have to do it alone, right? And that the reality is you put a team together and you can do so much more, right?
Absolutely. I agree.
I would say that is probably another big win is, knowing that you don't have to do it alone. And that you bring partners on for all of it and you complement each other.
Right.
And once you look at it in that sense, everything opens up,
Yeah, because I could imagine, for example, you mentioned about like the property management. That's just one aspect of real estate investing. And then there's all these spokes in the wheels when we think about buy, sell, negotiations, financials. You think about cash flows and distributions. You think about amortization. You think about how do you manage the actual portfolio of different assets? How do you manage the funds? How do you communicate with your investors? There's just so much there. And when you have a bunch of experts that are working really well together, two brains is together, right? It's like now you got four brains just because of the synergies and the integration of the power of the mind coming together.
Essentially, you established this mastermind operating all these assets.
Very cool, man.
And you bounce ideas off each other. You have people to weigh in, and collectively, all of us are better than one of us.
Exactly. Yeah.
And who is it who said that?
Not sure, but I think it's something like the sum of the parts is greater than the whole, or something like that.
Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, you start you start adding folks
Yeah,
together.
Napoleon
Hill. Yeah,
right?
Napoleon Hill. Yeah, think
Think and Grow Rich.
yeah, Think and Grow Rich. Yeah, yeah. That was a great book, by the way.
Great book.
Yeah, maybe as part of the show, we'll be recommending books, we'll be recommending resources. We got a beautiful playbook here on how to make money with real estate.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point that could be, something that investors could purchase online,
Yeah.
as we work through it through your playbook. We're open to all ideas.
Yeah.
This is we're talking about real estate here. We're in a piece of real estate now, sitting in Quincy. It's snowing outside. It's beautiful here.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of joy that both John and I bring to real estate.
Yeah.
It's something that we're
Energy.
passionate about. And my next question is, as we think about investing into real estate, what are some of the pitfalls that you would say investors should avoid, in the get-go?
So some of the biggest obstacles, I would say, are really you want to know operators, you want to know what you're diving into, you want to know your markets, you want to be educated, right? You want to come into this from an educated point of view, and you don't just want to dive in rushing it and all that.
It makes sense, because I can see if you're rushing, you'll probably make mistakes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. So the idea is that trusting the process,
Yeah,
and also trusting the operators to know
yeah,
how well is the asset being managed, how well in terms of like financial returns, understanding the risk, understanding all the benefits that you would get.
the business plan. You want to know that they have a sound business plan. You want to know that they had sound underwriting. And a lot of work is done up front to make sure that the asset performs well on the back end, right? And after close.
For
And
sure.
just because you do a lot of work up front
Yeah.
to acquire the asset, that's after acquisition, your job doesn't stop there. Your job starts there theoretically
To make the
and
asset more valuable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
And I remember we were talking about one industrial complex where you came in, you saw some opportunities, did some improvements, and all of a sudden now vacancy rates are much lower.
yeah,
And I think that's wonderful. And then when vacancy rates are low, and I know a lot of professionals may not really think about this, but it affects your cash flow. It
Yeah,
affects your
but-
distribution.
you have a better stream of income.
Yeah.
When you're occupied,
Correct.
you have better stability. You have all of it.
I think for me, as as I sit in front of an expert like yourself, John, is this idea of information overload.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of, like, if I wanted to Google, commercial real estate specifically for industrial, there's just an enormous amount of information.
You won't really know where to start,
You won't.
right? And that's, I think, a big component to commercial real estate, that a lot of people are like, all right, I want to get into commercial real estate, but then they don't know where to start. And I think the first thing is really educating yourself on kind of commercial real estate as a whole.
I love that, because
Podcast.
the education's great. We're gonna actually go right through into the playbook there. Go break down topics into detail. What
Yeah.
types of asset, what to look for, risk and return, pros and cons to different assets. Yeah, and then basically you make it so that it fits you and your needs and what you're looking to do, short term, long term, maybe midterm,
Yep.
and really kind of individualize your investing goals to you. And I
Exactly.
think and we talk about this idea of like even some of our listeners will be entrepreneurs and professionals. You might be just looking for a space.
Yeah.
And as part of the education pieces, we're going to teach you what to look for and how to,
How
negotiate
to
for your
do it.
contract
Yeah.
and what, what's beneficial for you, what's beneficial for your property owner. So, I think there's going to be a lot to unpack.
Hmm.
And our goal here is to bring some energy, some fun, some confidence, and some clarity to real estate investing.
Yeah.
There's just a few ways of making money in real estate. And so you can talk about appreciation, you can talk about cash flows, but
Yep.
then there's the kind of the defensive side of amortization and depreciation
Yep.
where you can, yeah,
Tax
taxes, yeah.
shelters.
So there's different ways. There's the offensive and there's the defensive.
Yeah.
We're gonna unpack that for you in terms of getting tactical with it and
Yeah.
strategic
And
with
we'll
it.
we'll also be bringing in,
Experts.
other experts.
Yeah, because we're gonna have some fun here, but we want to change it up.
Yeah.
Give some more energy. We do have some more mics here
Yeah.
and some and some more headphones, so we
Yeah.
can actually have a lot of
We
fun.
can have
We'll bring the party. You guys bring your curiosity.
Yeah.
Questions.
Questions.
We want this to be an open dialogue. So what would you like to see this real estate show? How do you envision this show as we kind of begin to wrap up this first episode? Where do you want to see this going?
I see this episode, being used by people of, just people that are interested in getting involved, and I see it bringing questions, and us having fun and building a community, and kind of providing value to other professionals, investors, and curious people.
Awesome, man.
So,
I love that.
what do you see?
I see that real estate could be such a confusing place to be in.
Yep.
And I think because of that, a lot of people just put their money into CDs and savings accounts, and
Simple.
some folks hide it behind,
Simple.
in a canned job.
Under a
Yeah, under
mattress.
a mattress. And for me, it's like the amazing ability to appreciate, your wealth, and do it in a way where it's super safe. If you look back in real estate, it's always been climbing up. Whether you look at
Yeah.
the residential, commercial, or industrial
Yeah.
sectors,
Yeah.
it's just been
It
climbing.
grows.
It grows.
Land.
Yeah, and so if you were looking maybe just to maybe open up like a sense of curiosity, like, hey, maybe my money's not best in a CD.
Yeah.
You're earning like 1 or 2% or even
Yeah.
less. Um, what we've seen in the past couple of years is much less.
Yeah.
So really thinking about where could your money be better utilized, where you can actually earn some distributions, cash flows,
Yeah.
but also appreciation in the sense that, you can think about a 1,700% gain.
Yeah. A 500.
500, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure
and-
you're gonna get like a range, but really what you want to do is to beat what the market is doing for your traditional,
Yeah.
where
And-
you're leaving your money. And the worst case is like somebody's leaving their money underneath their mattress and you're losing 3%
and it's
every year.
burning up.
It's just burning, right? Might as well just burn
With
burn $3,
inflation.
of
Yeah.
$3 out of every 100.
Yeah.
Just
Ugh.
every single day. So
Painful.
yeah, painful. So here's the thing, right? I talk to a lot of my friends who are professionals, folks who are like, man, I made a big mistake. I invested into a 3-family home. I thought that was gonna be fun, but
Yeah.
now I'm unclogging toilets
Yeah.
at 2 o'clock in the morning.
You don't
In
want to
fact,
do
my
that.
best friend's actually selling his building, his commercial building and residential, because he's just tired of
Yeah.
waking up in the middle of the night and having
Yeah.
to respond to that. As well as like, it's interesting, but people will play loud music to the point where one of the tenants have to call the cops on the other
Yeah.
tenant. And you hear these horror stories.
Yeah.
And I was just at a business event the other night, and someone was sharing how her first investing gig was a multifamily, and man, her tenant
Shit,
did not
horror
want to pay,
stories.
for rent,
Uh,
and I think it took her 4.5 years to
get
be
them
able
out.
to get them out.
That's
And she's
tough.
still paying the mortgage, and
Yeah,
it,
your mortgage doesn't stop
it
just
doesn't
because
stop.
your tenant doesn't feel like paying the rent this month, you
Right,
know?
right,
Your expenses don't stop
right.
just because someone didn't make the money to pay the rent.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
it's never good when you have to evict someone.
right,
It's never good. You never want to. And we have protections for that, right? We
right.
we have things that we choose because we don't want to be putting someone on the streets.
That's right. That's
And
right.
there are ways to, you know, hedge that risk,
There you go.
if you
So,
will.
so this is really where we want to dig deep is the nitty-gritty details
Yeah,
of how to hedge your risk, how to increase your returns, how to have peace of mind as you think about real estate investing,
yeah.
whether it's for personal or for commercial or industrial
Or business.
or
We
business.
we we
Yeah,
have businesses.
entrepreneurs. Yeah.
We have businesses that will invest in our deals
Hmm.
so that now the business is getting a return from the deal, and now businesses are getting cash flow,
Hmm.
people are getting cash flow. It's we do win-win-win situations. Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. I mean that,
And
that
that
I think we should put a bow on that one and wrap up this episode. Everybody wins when you are clear because my challenge and my vision for the podcast is to create clarity
Mhm.
for anybody who might be interested in investing. And we're gonna break it down step by step so you'll understand a little bit more a bit more about your decision making so that you can make a sound decision, that you can sleep at night and know that your money is growing while
Yeah,
you're sleeping, and know that in 2 weeks you get a distribution check, your rent
absolutely.
check, and you don't have to clog any toilets
Yeah,
or unclog any toilets.
exactly,
so,
exactly.
so
And
that's yeah,
that's who is it that said it? If you're not making money while you're sleeping, you're gonna work till you die.
Robert
And
Kiyosaki.
Kiyosaki,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Kiyosaki said
Yeah,
another good book,
another great
right?
book. Yeah.
If you're not making money in your sleep, you're gonna work till you die.
Yeah, I think that was like the
Get
first chapter, and it was Rich Dad
thinking,
Poor Dad.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
Rich Dad
yeah,
Poor Dad. We're
yeah,
gonna keep butchering all the
yeah,
authors and all that. We're just gonna be here.
yeah.
We're gonna have fun. We'll share some information,
Yeah,
and then you take that information. We want this to be a community. We're
yeah.
gonna open it up to questions from you, what you like to learn more about, and we'll bring experts in if we don't know the answers. But we'll share the playbook with you, so you can make sound decisions and you can sleep at night while your money's growing.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Jimmy.
Cheers, John.
Cheers.